Hello, good morning everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. First of all, let me introduce ourselves. I'm Manga from the APAC marketing team, and sitting next to me is Lido, a functional consultant. And he's the speaker today, and he will talk about one of his success case study of a manufacturing company. So, today's topic is how to use complex inventory and manufacturing setup synergically. And the presentation will take about an hour and followed by a Q&A session. And through the presentation, you can feel free to leave your question in the chat room, and he will answer your question afterwards. And Nino will talk about the pain points of his clients and how he worked to help them to solve the problems. And then he'll give you guys a demo. And so, thanks again for joining, and let's get started.
All right. So welcome everybody. My name is Lionel. And today I will focus on a topic that a lot of people like to hear about, is inventory and manufacturing. It's based on one of my clients' success story. So I'm really happy to share it with you guys today. It's not going to be an entry-level webinar on inventory and manufacturing. So if you're looking for simpler explanations on inventory and manufacturing, we have other webinars, but I will still nonetheless go over the basic concept with you guys. So this webinar is based on one of my clients' success story, and this client specifically is an engineering and trading company that is based in the US. They have a multi-company setup in Odoo, so they have 3 other companies, so 4 in total. It's a conglomerate. The Chinese manufacturing company, they have a Hong Kong part that also manages a little bit of manufacturing, but also trading. You have the US part that's basically the headquarters dealing with the group's trading and accounting. And you have the UK part as well to cover the European market. So 2 of the companies have manufacturing operations, as you know, and one of them is rather complex. So this is why I wanted to talk to you about it today and show you how we can apply this to a beer producing company, so a brewery, so that we can discuss this over an actual case scenario. So before using Odoo, they were using multiple software. One of them was QuickBook and Excel for their accounting and reporting. They were also using Salesforce for CRM. They were using Odoo 10, actually implemented by a partner for their Chinese manufacturing section. And they were using, also a portal management system for the inventory forecasting. So all of those are so many different software that they needed to integrate and make sure to avoid the mistakes in order not to send the other software wrong data, which was happening all the time. So before getting into the core topic of this webinar, I just want to quickly go over our basic project management methodology. So basically it's called the Quickstart methodology. This is the methodology that we at Odoo consultants are using. And this Quickstart methodology has been proven to be an effective tool to deliver the highest value per hour to our clients. And it's based out of, so this value is stems from 3 different parts. 1, we try to keep Odoo as standard as possible. And this is for 2 different reasons. 1, we're trying to keep the cost of implementation low, of course. And the second is that we try to challenge the customer's expectations and to rethink the business process with him so that we don't have to go for developments. And we know how Odoo standard works, but we don't know if extensive amount of developments will hold, or we need a lot of money to make it hold. So this is one part. The second part is deliver as fast as possible. This is because we want you to be able to use your system in weeks of time and not in months or even sometimes years of times with other ERP companies. And also to deliver the highest value per hour of the success pack. And finally, and I would say that this is Odoo's raison d'être, this is Odoo's main goal, is to make it affordable for every company to be using their own management software, no matter their size. So starting fresh with a new ERP system is also a good opportunity for the clients, as I mentioned, to rethink its business processes and simplify them, streamline them, and help us go with you guys the Odoo way, and not just simply replicating the behavior of your former software. For example, if you're using QuickBooks for accounting, which is something actually that I did for this project, it's interesting, but QuickBooks, for example, has some flows that are not managed the same way in Odoo. So I had to convince my client, and they agree with that actually in this case, to streamline it the Odoo way. And we had minor customizations to make sure that they didn't lose data from one software to another. So in our project methodology, we use the 80-20 to make sure to deliver the highest possible value. 80-20 is simply start with 80% standard and allow 20%, let's say, variation outside of the normal scope of Odoo feature. For example, this would be import of some historical data, which is something we try to avoid, but like report customizations is something that comes up really frequently, and minor customizations on the side that we would do at the end of the pack when we're sure we delivered the highest possible value for the 81st% so that the customer can use the pack. So that's it. Once the project starts, we confirms the scope that the salespeople would discuss with the clients beforehand, and we separate and we divide the project in multiple different phases, and those different phases are usually according to the flows or the different apps that the client might have purchased. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the methodology today, and I think it's about time that we dig into our demo and the core topic of this presentation. So it's going to be about inventory manufacturing, but what are we actually going to do today? Are we going to see all the topics? No. So I would like to automate the entire supply chain, so including the receipts, the pickings, the deliveries, and the manufacturing operations with reordering rules. I will show you two different scenarios. One of them is a simple scenario based on the US company, and the other one is a complex scenario based on the Hong Kong company. Both of them will have manufacturing operations, and both of them will be based on reordering rules to automate the flow. So in Odoo, we have two different ways to automate your inventory management automation. So one of them would be the make-to-order process. Make-to-order is basically ignoring your stock, at least until Odoo 12. Odoo 13 came up with a really nice feature, which is called replenish on order. So basically, if you don't have enough stock, then order more quantity. If you have enough stock, then take from stock. But at the moment, it's not working for partial inventory, but this is not a problem because usually the customers are using reordering rules to tackle this issue. That works with a scheduler, and the scheduler will automatically see what is missing between the quantity that I have in my negative forecasted quantity and what do we need to order, what do we need to automate. So we will see this in an instance. So, as I said, we will tackle a beer producing company. And before getting into the setup and the demo, I need you guys to understand some basic concepts about inventory and manufacturing. So I'd subdivide in different levels. So first level would be at the company and operation level. We need to understand what a warehouse and location is. What is the difference between them? So on Odoo, your warehouses, we always recommend to copy your actual flows. If you have one warehouse in real life, we would recommend you to use one single warehouse. If you have multiple sub-locations, this in your warehouse, this is what is going to be your locations. For example, raw material location, finished good location, QC, quality control location, etc. We also have operation types and transfers. So operation types is really easy. It's basically a model of transfer. So for example, one of my operation type would be delivery orders. My delivery orders will be from the finished goods to the client location. My receipt orders is another type of operation type, will be from my customers to my raw materials location, etc., etc. Manufacturing orders are also an operation types, and according to what you want, can take the products being produced to another location, or just keep it simple and keep everything in the production location. And the transfer is just like every iteration of those operation type. Then we have a second level, the stock. At the stock level, basically we have product categories. Those product categories will basically enable you to classify products with the same configuration together. It's a powerful accounting tool, but it's also a powerful tool in terms of inventory and manufacturing. This is what is gonna basically allow you to separate different accounts on valuation accounts for your raw materials, for finished goods. This is also what's gonna enable you to apply different routes to different categories. So I come to the routes, the first point that I forgot here. So basically the routes, it's what basically trace the entire path that your products will go through in Odoo. So a classic route would be buy, for example. So buy on a specific product or a specific product category will say, okay, all of those products, we're going to buy them. So whenever I trigger a specific condition, so I purchase this product, I sell this product, automatically the product will be bought also to a supplier if the configuration is done properly. Maybe you don't buy it, maybe you manufacture it. So instead of buying it, when you sell it, it's going to be manufactured. And this is one other type of route. And of course, route is a really powerful tool in Odoo for you to automate your entire inventory manufacturing process. And finally, we'll see what product configuration we need in order to accept all of these first concepts. Because some products can have different routes than others, even though they're in the same product categories, or you have a lot of flexibility in that. That's what I mean, and you will see it's much clearer when I will start my demo. And finally, the most important of this demo is the reordering rules. As I explained before, it's going to enable you to automate a need. So I don't have enough quantity in my finished goods to be able to send it to the client, so trigger a need to manufacture that product or to buy the components of that product. So that's about the inventory part. That's about the inventory part. Then we have the manufacturing part. So at the company level, we'll see how work centers and routings work. So work centers in Odoo are something that's a bit abstract. It's not a location. A work center is basically what different operations a product will need to go through inside your manufacturing itself. So you can see it that way. You have the entire supply chain of your products. You receive, you send it to stock, you produce it, and then you deliver it. But the routing only occurs in that production part. So while I start my production part, I will go through different routings to different work centers according to the different routings that I set up on the product. Routings is basically the same as routes for location. Work center and routing works the same way. So my routing will take my product to different work centers, or my components to different work centers in order to be produced. My routes in inventory will take my products to different locations in order to satisfy the supply chain needs. On the second level, the operations, we will have manufacturing orders and work orders. So the manufacturing orders will basically be the overall level. I need to produce what? I need to produce this product with component 1, 2, 3. And this is going to be the manufacturing order, the process of transformation of those products. And work order are basically sub-level orders. So in transforming those products to the finished good, the work orders will allow you to work on specific operations in your work centers. So your work centers will create work orders if you decide to work with work centers. You can also just decide to work with manufacturing orders, there is no problem, and then just skip the work order parts. Finally, on the product level, if your product has to be manufactured, you will need a bill of materials. That's very simple. Basically, for this product, I need this and that component, and we'll see how to do it. So this is the demo setup. I will come up with two different scenarios. Both of them will be about the beer company. Both of them will be about the same products, but we'll see some differences here. So one of them will be a single warehouse, a single location. And I will not detail this, so you can have a look at it at the screen as I show you. But I will show you in the demo. It's much more lively and understandable. And the second one will add a few difficulties. So we'll have two manufacturing processes, 4 locations instead of, and other complexities going in the way. But let's stop talking about on the slides. Let's go directly to our demo. So welcome to Beer Mania, which is my beer company. Beer Mania is selling beer to bars, basically, and they also create their own beers. They work in sometimes they do stock. They create their manufacturing orders to keep them in stock, sometimes not. So it's really up to Odoo to decide how we will deal with that. Our objective is to take from stock when it's available in the stock and to order it when we don't have in stock. So the first company, we have two companies. It's a multi-company environment. The US company is the easy one, so basically they have a very simple manufacturing process. And the Hong Kong company is a difficult one, and we'll see the difference according to the slide that I show you. So I will go to my inventory and go over the different concepts that I presented you before and show you how they appear in Odoo. So the first thing I mentioned were the warehouse. So this is very easy. We have our Mania US warehouse. So I went to inventory configuration warehouses, and it has show name US so that we can see where those warehouse and locations on that warehouse are based. We're receiving the goods in our inventory in one step. We're delivering the goods in one step, and we manufacture in one step. It's really easy in that case. Let's have a look at our locations as well. So the location that will be inside of that warehouse, we have a single location. Everything is happening in the US stock, basically. We receive in US stock, we produce from stock to stock, and we deliver from stock. It's the same, it's the equivalent of having one single place for small companies to deal with all their inventory. I'll go to my operation types as well. Operation types basically is what I told you before. So how we automate transfers in Odoo. When we receive something, it's going to be from our vendor location. So here the location doesn't matter, but it's going to come to our stock in US stock. This is the receipts. Then we have internal transfer. This is basically to allow you to do any type of internal transfer manually. Then we have delivery orders, which is the reverse one, the opposite one of receipt. So basically it's going to go from US stock to your customers. And finally, we have our manufacturing, which is also an operation type. As you can see, the type of operation here is manufacturing, which is very important. It's going to go from stock to stock. So we take all the components, we send them to a virtual location so that we don't see them in the database anymore. What comes out of the virtual location is your finished product. And where will those finished products go? In US stock as well. This is our default destination location. So this is about that. So we talked about warehouse operation types, locations, routes, rules, and product categories. So I will show you the product categories that I'm working with. So that will have an impact in our second database. So some of them are for Hong Kong, the other one for US. So we're interested in the US. Everything is automated in terms of accounting, but we're not going to talk about accounting today. And basically all my finished goods, my packages, you can see that I have some products configured already, four raw materials. If I want to go to my products, I will see it very clearly. So these are all my products for the US company. We want to brew the brewing powder 7%. So this is our final product. It's the finished good. As you can see, it's grouped by product category. In order to produce these finished goods, I needed multiple things. I need an empty bottle. I needed yeast, and I needed my semi-finished good brewing father's green beer. Those three components together, when I manufacture them, will create the brewing father 7%. In order to create this brewing father's green beer, because this is also a semi-finished good that needs to go through a manufacturing process, we will need water, malt, and hops. So I simplify. I'm sorry for all the beer lovers there. I really simplified the process as much as I could. This is defined on the bill of materials. So if I go click here, I can see that my product has a route manufacturing. I can just go to my bill of material and I see, okay, this is in order to produce this brewing powder 7%, manufacture this product in the company Mania US, and then empty bottle with the components, empty bottle, brewing fathers, and yeast. So I can, as you can see, something interesting here. I have different units of measures for each of those components. So even though those liters and kilograms are not in the same unit of measures as my units, it's still allowing me to produce those quantity. Another thing that is very important here is, as you can see, the routing. So basically, what I'm telling Odoo is, when you manufacture this product, when you trigger this bill of material, trigger it through the routing, fermentation, and packaging. So what does it do? I click on fermentation and packaging, and here I have two different operations. So one manufacturing orders will create two work orders, and each of those work orders will have its own work center. So I have my fermentation and maturation here. So basically I have some additional detail here that I base the duration completion for statistics will be based on real time. I can start the next operation once some of those products are processed. You can also decide to produce this while when every product is produced, when every products are done in the first work center, then you can send it to the other one, etc. So fermentation, maturation, and packaging. That's about the routing. So if I want to see my manufacturing side, I will go here. I can see all my work centers, as you can see: milling, machine, laddering, boiling, wort separation, fermentation, maturation, packaging. So those two will appear on my final products, and those two will occur when I produce my semi-finished goods. So the bill of material is very similar in the semi-finished goods. I don't need to show it to you guys right now. Then we also have our routings. We have two different routings. One of them is for the semi-finished good again. One of them is for the finished goods. So this is how you define the routing. And that's basically it. I can also have a quick look at my bill of materials. And they appear here. So did I mention all the different concepts that I talked about? Warehouse location, operation transfer, product configuration, I still have routes and reordering rules to show you guys. On the routes side, you have to go here, the routes. So basically those routes are applicable at different parts of Odoo. This one is really easy actually, because we only have one route for manufacture. So this is applicable on the product. That means that I have to go on the product and define if that product is to be manufactured. Same for if that product needs to be bought. And I also have RippleH on order, which I will not use today, but that's basically to ignore your stock, except if you have strictly higher quantity in your stock that the client is actually demanding. So it doesn't deal with partial inventory at the moment. And then we have the two routes that are coming from our decision to receive and deliver from and to our warehouse in one step only. So basically this is applicable on the warehouse. It's also applicable on the product category, but I didn't deal with that. So basically for this warehouse, we'll receive and deliver in one step. That's basically what it means. And the last part are the reordering rules. So I have to keep it easy right now. On those products, I have one reordering rules per product and with a minimum and maximum quantity of 0. So what does it mean? That when a need is appearing for this product in US stock, the location, then create a route, so trigger the route for this product is manufacturer, as you could see before. Manufacture a minimum quantity, a maximum quantity of 0, so that you can still manage exactly the amount of quantity that is required. And the minimum quantity is basically if you don't have enough, then trigger this reordering rule. Then we have a route as well for our empty bottles and other raw materials. So packages and raw materials have basically the same types of reordering rules, which is the same in US stock, because all of our needs are based in US stock. And for the semi-finished goods, it's exactly the same as well. You will see in the second complex scenario that the location here matters, but here it's easy. Everything is part of US stock. So let's do it. Let's sell our products and see how everything is managed. I'll go to my sales. At the moment, I have no quantity on hand, by the way. I will send it to one of my clients, All Hail No Fail, Bar Pacific. Let's go for Bar Away. And I will send them a 6-pack. As you can see, even though I have a lot of products, only this one is showing because this is the only one I allow to sell. I will sell 6 quantities. This little button here basically tells you you have no forecast incoming, and also you have nothing available. My unit price is defined on the price list. So for 6, we have 23.40. I save it, and I confirm this sale. I have a delivery. So this delivery, basically, I need to check availability to see, do I have something or not? But as you can see here, no reserve quantity is being done. So what I need to do is run the scheduler. So in order to Odoo to launch its schedule action. Run the scheduler basically means trigger all the reordering rules in this case. Why do we need to do that manually here? Because normally it takes 1 day for Odoo to do it, but you can actually reduce it to 5 minutes, 2 minutes. If your database is not too big, actually you can even do it every 30 seconds. Then it's not going to affect your database performance. But for example, even for bigger database, launching the scheduler every 5 minutes is not a big deal. So basically all your, let's imagine you have like hundreds of orders being sold and purchased a day. Basically every 5 minutes, those are going to be updated automatically. So I run my scheduler. And because I checked my availability, I will go see what happened here. So yeah, indeed, I have a manufacturing operation that has been created automatically. One of them is waiting those. So this is the delivery orders I showed you before. Manufacturing orders is being created here, 6 quantities, but I don't have stock on hand. I can also see it from the manufacturing plant. So if I go to my manufacturing order, I will see the same. Right now, I have no purchase order normally that has been created. Yeah, nothing. Those are former purchase order. I need a request for quotation in the status. This is because maybe I have stock for these manufacturing orders. Maybe I just didn't have the final product, maybe I have stock. So I check availability here, and indeed, again, it is not happening. So I can go to run the schedule again. And this, because we're looking for empty bottles, brewing founders, green beer, and yeast, should trigger the reordering rules of empty bottle and yeast to one of my vendor, and also the manufacturing order for the brewing fodder green beer, because we don't have it. And indeed, I go back to manufacturing, I can already see that I have something for my green beers. I will do it, I will check availability here, because actually I might have those. I'll run the scheduler again. And I can go to my purchase. As you can see, I have 2 different requests for quotation. Why 2 and why not 1? I could have 1, but because those 2 are based on different vendors. So one of them is beeswax. I ordered them, as you can see, exactly the right quantity that I need. And as well, to beer me out, I have the yeast and empty bottles. So those are my raw materials for my finished goods, and those are the raw materials for my semi-finished goods. So I can confirm, I can update the quantity if I need. If I need more, I can just add more. And I will first confirm both of those requests for quotation. So I can manage the receipt individually, but I can also just go back to my transfer and see that I have 2 receipts to do. So I'll click on those transfer. Okay, I can manage the transfer by date, see when all of them are coming. Right now, I just want to say validate. If you have not recorded done quantities yet, by clicking Odoo will pass all quantities. So it assumes that I checked my quantities. I will just apply. And I validate this one. Okay, so basically now we have our quantities on hand. I can go over with forward with my manufacturing process. We'll first check availability to see, oh, okay, everything turns green. Everything is available for me to create my semi-finished goods. I will plan it. And as you can see, now that's the time that the manufacturing order, when I plan it, will trigger the work orders. So the work orders will work with the routing. So automatically Odoo should know that first I do the mashing and milling, and then I do boiling and lautering. I think that was it. So as you can see here, I can't start the second one because I specifically said that you need at least 1 quantity to be produced to start the second one. Mashing, milling, lautering. So basically this is what your worker in the warehouse will see. I can also see directly from the manufacturing application. As you can see, I have work orders to be processed for those particular work centers. I can go from here as well. So let's assume that's going to be my dashboard as a worker in the factory. I can have many different ones. I can group them by different things. For example, by date, you can define your priorities here, and your worker can basically see everything that he needs to do first. I will click here. And here I have my blueprint for the milling, mashing, and lautering. I can respect it. And once this is done, I can just mark it as done. And then I have the second one that I can start. Okay, so this is a blueprint for the boiling and word separation. I have multiple options here. I can decide to block the production if there is something wrong. I can decide to scrap if there is something that I used in a wrong way. I can pause the production if, for example, I'm going for lunch, if I'm doing this and that, if like the work centers are supposed to be working all the time, but people have to go for lunch, so you can pause it. So this will not affect, for example, your OEE, so overall equipment effectiveness. Equipment effectiveness statistics, but blocking will. If you block your production, then it will affect it. I can mark as done and close the manufacturing order. So that means, I have a client error here. That's a client error. Let me just refresh my page first. And go back to my manufacturing, work orders, in process, marked as done. and now it's done. So basically I can go back to my manufacturing order and close it. Basically this one is ready to be closed. I mark it as done, and right now my product has been created. If I go to my finished good manufacturing, I can check availability. I have everything. I have both my raw materials but also my semi-finished goods. So I will plan it. And again, I have two work orders, but not the same, of course. We have the fermentation, maturation, and packaging. So I'll do that really quickly. I have my blueprint as well, mark as done, and I have my packaging. And I mark as done and close the MO. And right now I have my finished goods in my stock. So as you can see, we have the overall equipment effectiveness here. That basically tells me you did a really good job right now. And this one, it tells me you went really slow. This is because I did some testing in the past and I went faster in the past. And right now I took a little bit more time to explain you. So my statistics are a little bit lowered because the statistics are based on real time. Now that I have all my manufacturing orders, I can go back to my sales or just to my inventory to be able to deliver it. This one is waiting, and this is indeed our delivery for Barbar Way. I check availability manually and everything went the right way. So you can allow your database to basically do 5 minutes of recurrence in frequency, or you can do it manually if there is an emergency as well on your side. So let's go back to our slides, and you will understand really quickly what are the difference between the complex setup. So that was the easy setup. If you still follow me right now, we're gonna go for the complex setup. Here we had one warehouse and one location. On the other one, we have 4 different locations. We'll see why. For the operation types, we had a single manufacturing process. So the same manufacturing operation was done for finished goods and also semi-finished goods. And we didn't have any picking before. Now we have 2 pickings and 2 manufacturing processes. In terms of the routes, as you could see, we had routes only for products and for warehouses, but now we're going to have additional routes for our product categories. We're still going to have the same work centers, same routings, same bill of materials. So in this case, it doesn't change at all. And regarding reordering rules, we will see that if we want to automate additional flows, for example, the pickings, we'll need more reordering rules. We'll have more than one for semi-finished goods. We'll have 1 reordering rule for products, 1 of them for raw materials, exactly as we did before, but 2 for our semi-finished goods. So let's go and change our company. So this is Beer Mania Hong Kong, and it's a complex one. So I'll go back to, so as you can see here, this is my inventory overview. I have a little bit more than before. I will go over it with you guys again, but I will follow the same scheme so that you understand exactly the same step as before and you see the changes. The warehouse is still very easy. It's still one warehouse. We still receive in one step. We still deliver in one step, but in terms of manufacturing, we pick components first and then we manufacture them. So what does it mean in terms of the locations? It means that now we have 4 different locations instead of 1. Before we had Hong Kong stock. Now we receive everything in raw materials. We send everything to the client from the finished good location. We have a production location to receive all the goods in order to be produced. And we have a semi-finished goods location to store our semi-finished goods. So I receive in raw material, send it to production, and if it's a finished good manufacturing, they will be sent to finished goods. If it's a semi-finished good, I will receive my raw material, send it to production, but then it will be sent to semi-finished goods. And this is done through my operation types. Here, those are all my operation types. We have 1 receipt. We'll receive it for raw materials. We have pickings. So basically, let's imagine our finished good doesn't have a sub-level bill of materials. So we go directly from raw materials to finished goods. So we pick from raw materials location to production location. And so this is the picking and then manufacture, right? We pick first from raw material, then we produce it. So the production will be from that destination location of the picking. So it's going to be production. From production, we produce it and we send it to finished goods. And from finished goods, we can deliver it to the client. Now let's assume I create a semi-finished goods. It's going to be picked as well. So the semi-finished good will pick raw materials. So it's going to be this one as well. And then we send to, so from raw to production, from production to semi-finished goods, and then be stored in the semi-finished good location. But then that's the trick. when we need the semi-finished good to be used for the finished good location, we will take it from semi-finished good location, put them back to production through the second pick here, and then manufacture the semi-finished good with the other raw materials in finished good location and send them from finished good location again in order to be sent to the delivery orders to the client. So that's about the operation types. Let's see what else we need to do. So routes and rules and product categories. Product categories are exactly the same, but I will go for the routes first. Okay, so here you see a little bit of changes. We still have manufacturer on the product, but we have two different routes. One of them is to define that this product will be used as a finished good, one of them as semi-finished goods, and the replenish on order is exactly the same as the other one. I'm not going to touch it. Buy is the same thing, is the same. We have deliver in one step and receive in one step, which is the same and applicable again to the warehouse. And then finally, we have two additional routes that basically will allow us to, thanks to the reordering rules, automate the pickings. And these pickings will be done on the product category level. And this is why, for example, pick semi-finished good, then manufacture. I have to do it for all the semi-finished goods. Pick raw materials, then manufacture. I have to apply it to every raw material. So how does it look like in terms of product category and products? So my products are still the same. As you can see, nothing changed. But the routes. Before we had only manufacturer, and now I have to define if it's a finished good or a semi-finished good. In terms of the raw materials, nothing changed, so my packages are still buy. But as you can see, we have some category route here. So I didn't define it here, I defined it on the product category. So let me go through the product category with you guys. On finished goods, I have no additional routes. But here, for my packages, because packages are also kind of defined as a raw material for my operations, I had to pick raw material, then manufacture. Same thing for raw materials, but for semi-finished goods, pick semi-finished good, then manufacture, and this is very important. So this is about the product categories, the routes, and the product's location. Also, we still have the reordering rules to talk about. Here, the difference between the reordering rules, so the min, max, and quantity multiple are the same, but I needed to say when there is a need for this product in finished good location, then trigger the route. So the route will be manufacturer finished good in that case. If I go to my raw material, for example, empty bottle, I have again one single operation type, reordering rules, but this one is in raw material. So when those are needed in raw material for the picking, then trigger buy, the route buy that is defined on the product itself. And that's for all the raw materials. And finally, the semi-finished goods. We have two reordering rules. One of them is here defined on the semi-finished good location. So when we need to pick from semi-finished good location and send it back to production for the finished good manufacturing, then trigger the right picking. And the other one is to manufacture. So basically when one of them is needed in production, then trigger the production, the route production, which is defined here as a manufacturer semi-finished goods. So that's about the setup for the manufacturing. I will just show you really quickly on the, that was for the inventory, but now we'll see the manufacturing. We have the same work orders. I didn't change anything on this side. The same routings, nothing changed on that way. The bill of materials, same thing. We still have two bill of materials with exactly the same thing. So right now, I'll just make sure I didn't forget anything. Warehouse location we talked about. Product categories, reordering rules, work center routings, bill of materials, work orders, work. Okay, we have everything. So right now we can see what happens when we actually sell this product. I will sell to All Hail No Fail. And I will sell my brewing powder 7%. Again, same thing, I don't have the quantities on hand. So I will just sell 6 in that case, same price as the other time. I save it and I confirm. So right now I have a delivery that's created exactly like before. If I check availability again, nothing will happen because I don't have enough quantity, but normally nothing will be created automatically here because I didn't run my scheduler. So I can just go to operation, run the scheduler, and then that's going to be very interesting. Okay. I run my scheduler, and I have my finished goods and my semi-finished goods that are creating here. So why do I have both of them that are created already? I actually have more than that. I also have, as you can see, 2 waiting pickings and 1 waiting picking. So let's try to make some sense out of all of this. Of course, I need my finished goods. So I have that finished goods manufacturing order that's being created. For that, I need an empty bottle and yeast. Those are raw materials to be sent from raw materials to production so that they can do the picking, and then from production to finished goods, we'll use them through this manufacturing orders. And brewing fodders, I need them, but from another location, from the semi-finished good location, because it's a semi-finished good. So this is why I have 2 transfers here. One of them has a reference pick 1 and the other one is pick 2. Pick 2 is for my finished goods all the time. Pick 1 is for my raw materials. So here I can check. Here I don't have them at the moment. I need 30 grams of yeast and 6 empty bottles. And the other one concern specifically the semi-finished good that we have to get from the semi-finished good location. These ones are from the raw material location. So we check availability, we don't have anything. So we need to do the transfer. The problem is that we don't have those in the finished goods and raw materials as well. So basically everything should start from the purchase. And indeed, I have 2 requests for quotation, the same as before, same vendors. One of them is empty bottle and yeast for my finished goods, so I can confirm the order. And the other one is for my semi-finished goods again. So I will just confirm the order for hops, malt, and water. So I have 2 receipts to do. So our job here, and that's why I create such a complex routing system, is to link the receipts to the delivery and everything that's in between. All the manufacturing, picking operations that you might potentially have, that's possible, thanks to the reordering rules. And this, if you have stock, will not generate the reordering rule for individual products. So if I have stock, I'm not gonna buy more malt. But if I just have malt, I will not generate the malt operation, the reordering rule, but I will generate the one for hops, etc., etc. So let's first receive our products. As you can see, destination location is raw materials, so I validate. Same here. I have pick that I can do now. I can pick 2 of them already. One of them is for the semi-finished goods and the other one is for the other one, but both of them are going to go from raw material to production. So empty bottle and yeast, we validate this one. And the second one, we're going to send hops, malt, and water to production as well. First thing that we want to do before tackling our finished good manufacturing is the semi-finished good manufacturing. So I'm here. As you can see, because the process was automated and because those products came from the reordering rules, everything is already reserved for you. So all I need to do is make sure that I have everything and I can plan my semi-finished goods. And again, that's same thing as before. I have my milling, mashing process. I can just process it. I'm looking at the blueprint. I'll mark it as done. Boiling and wort separation, same thing. And again, I can verify my quantity as well, scrap. If you have flexible bombs, so this is a new feature for the 13, you can have flexible bill of materials and accept to produce more or less quantity for the same amount. I mark as done and close my manufacturing orders. Okay, so now my manufacturing order, I can go for manufacturing or from inventory. So I have nothing to do, but I have my picking that is available because now I have my semi-finished products. So I can validate it. And if everything is done correctly, everything will be ready for my finished goods. And as you can see, everything is available. My 2 transfers are linked, so you have a traceability factor as well that is very important here. I can plan it. I'll go through my 2 last work centers. Mark it as done. I have my 6 units to be packaged. I mark as done. And now I can close my manufacturing orders. Mark as done. And now, basically, this is done. And I can sell my product to my client the same way as we did the first time. Check availability. We have the 6 products. I validate. And now it's at my clients. And this concludes my demo for today. So I hope that you were able to follow me. Anyway, I think that everything I show on my screen is available for you now. So you can just go over it again and try to understand and try to reproduce this flow on your own. Why did I want to create a manufacturing demo? I think it was very important to show what Odoo can actually do, and this can be applied to bigger and more complex flows as well. And I think it's often overlooked. Yeah, that's basically it. So we're gonna go through our question and answer session now.
Maybe before that, you can talk about
the success pack. So basically, at the moment, we have a 50% discount on our success packs for the new customers. So I would suggest that you guys take advantage of this if you're planning on implementing Odoo, because this offer will not be there the whole time. So what will the success pack involve? You will be able to work with a functional consultant of our team in Odoo Hong Kong, including me, for example. What will this do? So we have different success packs, 25 hours, 50 hours, 100 hours, to 200 hours. And basically we do consultancy. So we'll help you do the configuration, we'll teach you how to use the system and how to be independent in using Odoo, because this is the most important way. You don't want to be fixed, and you don't want to be, let's say, dependent of a partner or an Odoo consultant forever. You want to be able to use Odoo on your own and be able to use it. So we'll teach you how to do data import, we'll teach you how to do your own customization with Studio. And basically, we'll do also the business analysis, which is very important in the beginning of the project to be able to know how we can deliver you the highest value. So that's it for that. Yeah, so if you guys have any question.
Yes. So in the live chat room, I can see we got like 2 questions now. So
okay.
One question is...
Okay, if the manufacturing quantity is 100, but actually we produce 105, how does this work? Yes, so this is a really good question. So it depends on how you configure your bill of material. So let's imagine you produce 105. So then if you want to do that, so let's go for you know what, let's go to our easy company so that we don't get messed up with all the pickings and everything. So I will create a manufacturing operation, let's say to manufacturing directly. I will go and create to have some stock, let's say. I want to select my product. My product will be green beer. And let's say initially, so the question is, the quantity initially is 100. So let's set it first for 100. Let's imagine that this is actually the one that the client asked for. So I can mark this as to do. But here, as you can see, there is a button update. So literally, if you want to update this quantity and say, okay, actually our forecast is telling us that we need to plan some for 10 more for next week, but we're not sure this is actually going to be sold. So let's actually update our quantity. So here to consume 150.95, but I will update it to 105. I approve it. And as you can see, all my products to be consumed are risen as well, because this is basically following the bill of material that is set on the product itself. So the second part of this question is, if you want to, let's say, if you consume more than the 105 in terms of components, or if you consume less because of some reason that can happen in any factory, basically you can set it up on your bill of material. So you have to go to bill of material and set that this, for example, semi-finished product here have a flexible consumption. So this is a new feature for Odoo 13. If it's fixed consumption, you will always have to consume the same amount of products in your bill of material to produce your final products.
Okay, so the next question is,
how does
reworks
work for products for Odoo? So basically, reworks in the way that you would rework the products that you already have. Could you precise that question specifically, please? And in the meantime, I'll go to another question.
So another question is, if I have 32 manufacturing lines and I need to change style properly every 10 to 15 days, and every style is different and use different raw materials, and how will you set up in Odoo?
Okay, I don't really understand what this person means about styles, but so you have 32 manufacturing lines. Okay, so manufacturing lines in the bill of material or 32 manufacturing products to be created? Oh no, sorry. Okay, manufacturing lines in real life. Sorry, it's like I'm stuck up with the Odoo vocabulary. Okay, so you have 32 manufacturing lines of operation in your factory, right? So okay, and you need to change style probably every 10-15 days. So basically it's like a job shop organization, so every style is different and use different raw materials. Okay, so in this case I think that this needs an extensive configuration. So you will need to you will have the same work centers all the time. However, you will need to first I'm going to talk about the manual part without the automation. So if you want to do that manually, you will have to create the routings. So your routings, let's say I'm going to go to my routings, create a few routing and say, for example, routing will be style number 2. And instead of going for milling and mashing and lautering, I will go directly from milling, mashing and lautering, for example, to fermentation maturation. So in a way, it's a different style. It's a different way of going from one of your work center to another one. So it has to be a new routing. So style 2 here. And this, basically, when you create your bill of material, we're going to create another bill of material, for example, for the green beer, I can define my second style and say, actually, what we need to do is first doing the boiling and mashing and then skip the second part because for some reason it doesn't work, for example, and then we'll go for the next one. So that's how you would manage all the different configurations between your work centers and your bill of material.
Also, he asked about what is the meaning of capacity in the work center?
Okay, so the capacity is basically, let me go to the work center so that everyone that is listening to us can understand. So here we have a work center. We have our capacity. So what Odoo says is that it's basically a number of pieces that can be produced in parallel. So this is actually an information side. It's not going to restrict at the moment. We could do some, you will need some development at the moment to restrict this capacity to actually create additional work centers work orders in Odoo. So for example, the capacity would be at the same time I can create maximum 5 work orders in that work center at the same time. So, but this is at the moment just informational because we don't want to restrict the possibility to go over it if there is any change.
Okay, maybe this question.
Can do bill of material security for confidentiality? Can we do bill of security for confidentiality of formula such that the manufacturing processor cannot see the BOM detail but still can proceed with the process? So this is let me double check first before saying it's possible. So I will go to my let's go forward with the manufacturing order first. I will plan it. And also I would like to unreserve first, check availability. I don't have. I will run my scheduler. This should create again my purchase. I receive it, validate. Okay, and then I go back. Okay, so now I can actually start my, so this is what basically your your worker will see. So he will see milling, mashing, and lautering. He doesn't have to have access to the overall manufacturing order. That's important. So you can be the one that access this manufacturing orders with hops, malt, and water. But you have 2 work orders. Here, basically, we'll have work instructions, current production times. So you have to produce 105 at the same time. You have time tracking, basically time tracking, miscellaneous, and finished steps. Don't contain the raw materials. So in this case, it's possible because your worker will have access only to this work order. If I process it, as you can see here, I don't have my quantity. I don't need to have I can have a BOM confidentiality actually. So I mark it as done. I go for the second one. Same thing. If you don't put the raw materials, I would say, on the blueprint itself, then it should be safe for you to basically restrict some of the workers to work orders and allow others to have access to the overall manufacturing order, which is, in this case, going to include the bill of material.
Yeah. So the next question is how demands and supply connected on reordering rules based on time frame, like 1 week. PO and next month, but reordering needs to be run in this week.
Okay, so let me read the question again just to make sure. Demand and supply connecting reordering rules based on time frame like 1 week. Okay, so basically you wouldn't process those straight away, right? Like I have a purchase order in next month, but reordering needs to be run this week. Okay, so basically if that's the case, if you already plan a manufacturing orders for next month, then if your forecast is negative, then the reordering rule will be triggered. If it's positive, then you might have, if you check availability on your work order, it will automatically reserve the quantity for you. So, but you don't have to do that. You can create the manufacturing order. If you want to run it this month, if you don't have the quantity, then you can just run the scheduler. And if you have a negative forecast, then automatically it will create the purchase order. If another manufacturing order came after that, basically, and you need additional things, you might need to basically check availability another time, so that basically Odoo knows he doesn't have to take the stock that's arriving for another manufacturing order, basically. So that's.
So the next question is how to track machines in routing.
How to track machines in routing? Okay, so here we didn't install the equipment app. So you have an equipment app that you can use to manage. We can check together. I can just download the equipment app. And it's actually coming with maintenance. I'm gonna take 1 second. Okay, so basically now I have my maintenance app and I can manage my equipment. And as you can see, the equipment can be linked to work centers. So, so equipment, work centers, machines and tools. So first I will create my equipment. So equipment 1. I'm not gonna go too much into the details of equipments in Odoo because that's a bit out of scope of this presentation. But basically, you can define here in which location is going to be used if you have multiple locations, but work centers as well. So basically, if I do equipment 1 for milling, mashing, and loutering, maybe basically you have a mashing tank, right, that you want to manage. You will define it to be, what I will call it, mashing tank, that you want to manage in the milling, mashing, loutering. We can have multiple equipment per work centers. If I save it, I would like to go to my work centers. And as you can see, there is a new tab for you to manage your equipment. And there you can assign a worker, a user of the system, or an employee to basically be responsible for that equipment. You can manage on the equipment itself. You have some maintenance, predictive and curative maintenance that is possible to manage here according to how you work in real life. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we start?
So I think we can come to the last question in this webinar. So like a long questions that we have, like is it possible to like somehow set up the work centers overview so whenever I take a look at it, I can know which order like production lights is producing and how many remaining quantities like that need to be.
Okay, so this is what you somehow set up the work center overview. So it would be on the work center themselves. Okay, so first, in order to answer that question, I think I need to go over a manufacturing order again, just to make sure. So I save it. I want to do check availability. I actually have enough hops and malt, but I don't have enough water. So let's first run our scheduler and see if we can order some water. And indeed, as you can see, I had enough hops and malt, but water is still coming. So that's how you can, for example, separate the scheduler. I validate the incoming step of my water. I don't need one full water here. I think I still have enough, but the minimum quantity set on my vendor price list was 1. So that's why. If I go to my manufacturing orders, I will unreserve, check availability again, and okay, I have everything I need. I plan it. Okay, now my work orders are created, right? So let's go back to our milling and mashing and loutering. So this is the work order. Here, manufacturing order. So whenever I take a look at it, I can know which order production line 2, so for example, would be milling, mashing, and loutering in this case, is producing, and how many remaining quantities needs to be produced. So at the moment, so you have multiple states for your work orders. So let's go to our work orders here. As you can see, they have different states. So you have a ready one, you have an in progress one, and you can basically manage your different work orders according to the state. If they're ready, they're not yet in progress. So if I go now to my main dashboard for the milling machine, I can group by, I can have like the list view. Just imagine you have hundreds of them. You don't want to see them all in flashcards. You want to see them in the list view, and you can group by different things. So we can group by different things. So basically everything you can group by is defined on the work centers itself. You know what? I will duplicate this, go to the outer view of my work center so you will understand better. I will go here to my work orders, to the milling machine. So basically everything that's happening here, every field that you have, for example, quantity in production, or even finished step manufacturing, let me check, time tracking, real duration, expected duration. So basically if you have different times, you can define which one is over. With some slight customization, you would, for example, be able to see, okay, please show me all the work orders that basically have an expected duration that's less than the real duration. So basically all of the ones that are late, so all the ones that you have to prioritize. And this is a dynamic filter because we have to say this field is higher than this field. By standard, you can do with Odoo, this field is higher than a specific quantity. So if you have the quantity in mind, you can do that without customization. But if you want to say this field is higher than this field, then you might need a slight customization to work with us. In terms of what you can already filter by, we have different things. You can look for, let's say, scheduled production date. So you can group by production date. If I apply, I can see, okay, this is in May, but I can also change that to day or to weeks. So for example, let's say we want all the day of these weeks. And here today we have one production to create on the 13th of May. And what is the status of this production? So let me remove the week. We have only the day. I will, okay. I check by consumption. So this is, for example, I see which consumption is flexible, which consumption is actually fixed. I'm just trying to see if we have something else. Duration. What would be an interesting filter to add is you have your machine for today, but actually you check by the deadline of you filter by the deadline, and the deadline is today. So you can see that if what you have to do today and the deadline is today, you absolutely have to prioritize this one. Maybe you will have some to do today, but the deadline is in 1 week. You can leave them behind and optimize the capacity of your work orders. So that's a little bit of playing around with the group bys and filtering to see exactly what you need. Yeah, so this is basically if the field exists, there is a possibility with Odoo. If you want to compare two fields together, it might need a smart customization. But if you just want to check by the date is today, or you have a specific value in mind, you can do that by standard.
Okay, so thanks for the presentation and also the demo. So I think you guys regarding this topic, you may get more questions to ask. We have include a link in the description box. You can click it and then schedule a call with our team, and then our team will answer questions in email or Skype. So thanks again for joining this webinar, and we also have webinar tomorrow. So stay tuned and see you guys.
See you. Thank you. Have a good day.